On the path to power, Rhun ap Iorwerth is now on track to become Wales' new First Minister, possibly as early as tomorrow. Even without a majority, the Plaid Cymru leader looks to have cleared the obstacles to getting the top job. We'll have the very latest.
Fire service, evacuate the building now.
Firefighting from the skies, how drone technology could help to save lives in an emergency. And full steam ahead, how this much-loved locomotive is firing on a different kind of fuel to protect the local environment. Hello, good evening. Plaid Cymru leader Rhun ap Iorwerth is fully on track to become Wales' next First Minister after Friday's dramatic election result. Not enough for a majority, Plaid won 43 seats, with Reform in second place on 34. But now 3 other Senedd parties have indicated they'd either back Mr ap Iorwerth's nomination or not oppose it. Tonight, we'll have analysis from our team across Wales, looking at what will happen next at the Senedd as Plaid looks set to form a minority government. Plus, after Welsh Labour support collapsed, we're in Westminster, where Keir Starmer has been pitching to his party that he should stay on and not resign. But from keeping the top job in Westminster to getting the top job here in Wales. Our political editor, Adrian Masters, is live in Cardiff Bay. Adrian, it was an election all about change, and Wales now set to get Plaid Cymru's First Minister.
John, it was abundantly clear that the people of Wales voted for change, and change is what has happened in spades. There is still some uncertainty, as you've hinted to in your introduction, and we'll talk about more in just a moment. But as you say, Rhun ap Iorwerth is on course to become the First Minister. And behind me in the Welsh Parliament, the processes and the officials are in full swing, trying to turn our votes into a new Senedd. It may look the same outside, but inside all is changed utterly. There'll be a new First Minister, there'll be a new party in charge, there'll be a very different opposition party. In the north, people sometimes say Cardiff can seem very distant. What do people in Mold want from the next Welsh government?
NHS failures are at the top of the list. Get rid of this 20 mile an hour. It's just slowing everybody down, getting everybody bad-tempered.
I'd very much like to see a continuation of the improvement in transport. It's so important.
It'd be nice to see a prioritisation of the Welsh language and advocating more for that in schools.
Back in Cardiff Bay, new and familiar faces are still turning up to take their oaths and find their offices. Those returning are finding things very different.
Our job is to carry Conservative principles in this Welsh Parliament. It's not to be anyone's stooge, it's not to be anyone's block vote, and we'll take issues, I'm sure, once we meet as a group on a case-by-case basis and see where that takes us to. But our job is to make sure that we support the Welsh Conservative principles and what that can do.
Fancy another shot at the leadership?
No. Definitely not.
How are you feeling? You must be a bit deflated, disappointed.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to be here, but obviously, I've lost some of our colleagues here, but, looking forward to getting to work, really.
Yeah, how do you dust yourself down and carry on after
Yeah,
this?
well, that's it. You've got to, haven't you? You just get up and keep going and make sure we're listening to people and get to work. It's got to start from now.
Their parties are now very much reduced. The new big parties are Plaid Cymru and Reform.
Whichever way you cut it, Wales has voted for something historic. This is a complete change. And bear in mind, since 2018, that's Brexit Party Reform, that's when we were formed, so we're only about 8 years old. To have achieved what we have, bearing in mind that Plaid Cymru is 100 years old, I think that's quite seismic.
Oh, the Plaid group is up and running. In fact, we're rushing to a meeting now, so that's how up and running we are.
Are you sure that Rhun ap Iorwerth is going to be First Minister?
Well, we can't be sure of anything in this world. That's the expectation. That's what I hope very much, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
A lot to look forward to. A lot to do to get this Parliament up and running. In the Chamber, the oath-taking has continued all day, as it has all weekend. It's the first step for each new Senedd member. Tomorrow they'll be back in this chamber to choose a new presiding officer and then the big decision, a new First Minister. That's now all but certain to be this man. At the weekend, Rhun Iorwerth led his group of Plaid Cymru Senedd members onto the steps of the Senedd, the largest political group the Welsh Parliament has ever seen. Supporters have earned this excitement and enthusiasm. But what lies ahead is hard work, serious political challenges and uncertainty.
Adrian, you mentioned uncertainty there at the end of your report. What sort of uncertainty are we talking about?
Well, there are a few big decisions that the Senedd has to take. As I was just mentioning in the report, the way that it works is that members first have to choose a llywydd or presiding officer, a bit like the Speaker of the House of Commons. There are two people who have publicly said that they're interested in that, but of course that is about politics too, and it's not a clear-cut decision. That decision, by the way, has to be taken before the choice of a First Minister. And that isn't as clear-cut as you'd expect or hope either.
And how likely is it then that Rhun Iorwerth will be First Minister by, well, this time tomorrow?
Well, pretty likely, all but certain, I would say. There is a small question about whether it gets done, whether and when it gets done. In other words, whether it is all done and dusted by this time tomorrow. And that's all because Plaid Cymru has become the largest party, but it doesn't have a majority. In other words, it can't govern on its own. It can't rely on the votes of its own members to get big decisions like this through. So it has to see some parties who have said that they will abstain. The Greens have said that they will support Rhun Iorwerth to become First Minister. So the maths mean that Rhun Iorwerth should become the First Minister this time tomorrow, but the uncertainty means that come back here tomorrow, there'll be another day of political drama, another day of excitement and uncertainty.
Well, I'll see you on the steps tomorrow, Adrian. Well, the disastrous election result for Welsh Labour has fuelled the calls for Sir Keir Starmer to resign. Today, the Prime Minister vowed to prove his doubters wrong in a major speech aimed at averting a political leadership challenge. Well, our reporter Gwennan Campbell is live in Westminster with the latest. Gwennan, there's been mounting pressure on the PM.
There has been, John, and it's been mounting for a few weeks now. Last week was a bit of a disaster for the party, losing the Senedd, losing the First Minister, and they took a bit of a blow in the local elections as well. And you've got to remember, this comes just less than 2 years after that landslide victory in the general election. Now, today was crunch day. He gave the speech of his life in a bid to survive.
All eyes fixed on the entrance, waiting for the man whose political survival hung on the words he was about to deliver. After disastrous results at the local elections in England and losing hold of the Senedd after 27 years, Keir Starmer has faced mounting pressure to quit.
The election results last week were tough, very tough. We lost some brilliant Labour representatives. That hurts. And it should hurt. I get it. I feel it. And I take responsibility.
But he didn't go down without a fight.
I know I have my doubters. And I know I need to prove them wrong, and I will. I am fighting for them. We are fighting for them. I am their Prime Minister, and this is their government.
But not everyone was convinced by what they heard.
Well, I listened very carefully to his speech this morning, and I think the fact that he didn't mention Wales or Scotland was really disappointing. He didn't acknowledge the losses that we have suffered in the Senedd, and of course, Eluned Morgan losing her seat as First Minister was unparalleled. So I think the fact he didn't even acknowledge that was a real disappointment. Keir has done a great job, and we thank him very much. But now is the time for somebody else with a different personality, more charisma, a more go-get-it attitude to say this is what the Labour Party message is.
Former Senedd member Alun Davies agrees too, and partly blames him for Labour's defeat at the Senedd elections.
I hope that Keir Starmer will resign and will put in place a process by which we can replace him as leader. We know that the Welsh Labour Party couldn't even bring him across the border during the election campaign because they know how unpopular he is on the doorstep. We cannot start the process of recovery until we do that.
But former Secretary of State for Wales Peter Hain believes a leadership contest is not the answer.
I don't think the country wants the psychodrama of a fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. That's what they rejected under the Conservatives. But Keir Starmer and the government and the Welsh Labour Party have to change. We have to listen to people and reflect on that and change radically.
He left to a round of applause, but has Starmer done enough to convince his fellow MPs that he is still the right man for the job?
So, Gwennan, that's the question. What is the mood like up there tonight? And has he done enough, do you think, to save his premiership?
Well, that's the big question, John. But on Saturday, Labour MP Catherine West gave the Cabinet a bit of an ultimatum. She said, challenge Starmer by Monday or I will. Now, today, after listening to his speech, he has changed her mind, which I'm sure has come as a huge sigh of relief for the Prime Minister. So the pressure is off for now, but he's not out of the woods yet. Around 40 MPs have so far come out publicly saying that they want to see him go. You heard Ruth Jones there in the news item, and we've just heard that Tony Antoniazzi is one of them as well. But has he done enough today to persuade those other MPs? We'll have to wait and see. But he's safe for now, John. But as I said, a week is a very long time in politics. So let's see how it plays out.
OK, Gwennan Campbell in Westminster, thanks very much indeed. And now let's cross to our North Wales reporter, Joanne Gallagher, who is in Flint. Jo, previously a Labour stronghold where you are, but not anymore.
No, not anymore, and Labour are devastated by what happened on Friday when we got those votes coming in. They saw North East Wales as their heartland, certainly in the Senedd, and it's been pretty much wiped out. Flint Wrexham is a new constituency, and it pretty much mirrored what happened in other areas of Wales in that Reform and Plaid Cymru came out as the two biggest parties. Now, Reform won the popular vote here in Flint Wrexham. They got 36.2% of the vote share. They got 2 Senedd members. Now, they will be disappointed with that. They were hoping for 3 in this area. Plaid Cymru got 26.2% of the vote share. They also got 2 new Senedd members. Now, they'll be delighted with that. They've been chipping away at this area for a long time, so they'll be really pleased. Then that 5th spot went to the Conservatives, and then that 6th spot, Labour just clinging on to bring Ken Skates back to the Senedd. It was really close. On Friday when I was speaking to him, he thought he would be out, but he clung on. He did get back in, beating Reform, and now, of course, he is the Labour leader, interim leader here in Wales.
OK, Joanne Gallagher in Flint, thanks very much indeed. You're watching Wales at 6. Thanks for your company tonight. There's plenty still ahead. Ruth will have the latest forecast.
Hello there. Yes, a chilly week ahead with wind and rain. The weather has somewhat gone off the rails, but this could get us all back on track. How one of our most loved steam trains has had something of a modern makeover. We'll see you in a few minutes.
But first, 2 men have appeared in court charged with murder following a fatal crash in Newport. Terrell Case, who's 18, and 34-year-old Joshua Williams appeared at Newport Magistrates Court today, accused of murdering 19-year-old Jaden Bowyer and 16-year-old Taché Cannaville. They died at the scene in Aberthaw Road in Newport in the early hours of Thursday. The 2 men are due to appear at Cardiff Crown Court tomorrow. South Wales Fire and Rescue Service is leading the way with its new drone technology. The service is the first in the UK to trial a new multilingual advanced drone used for helping with evacuations and live streaming information back to the control room. It follows recommendations from the Grenfell inquiry. Well, just a warning, there are some flashing images in this report. Katia Fowler has more.
Fire service, evacuate the building now. Fire service, evacuate the building now.
It's not a firefighter telling you to evacuate, but instead a drone. This piece of equipment not only talks to people in 5 different languages, but it's the first of its kind to be used by a fire service. It can be used in many different situations, like high-rise evacuations.
One of the recommendations out of Grenfell was the ability to be able to change an evacuation strategy of a building. It's very difficult to tell people that have been advised to stay put to now forget that advice and leave the building. So we're trialling in South Wales, flying a drone around a high-rise building, broadcasting a pre-recorded message in the hope that they hear that and then react to it.
But it's not just useful for these scenarios. Just recently, at the fire that broke out in the Brecon Beacons, having eyes on what was happening in real time was invaluable.
At its height, that was estimated at around 20 kilometres wide. To physically ask firefighters to cover that on foot is almost impossible, whereas the drone can cover huge areas very, very quickly, and we're not risking any firefighters on the ground at all. Make our decision, and we can also then react to what the fire is doing much quicker.
Most drones can track people, but this particular one can actually spot them and has thermal imaging. So even if to the naked eye, I appeared hidden, it would be able to find me and zoom right in to where I was. Not only can it do that, but it can also live stream back to the control room so that everyone can see what's going on for themselves.
It's great for us to be able to actually have eyes on an incident, so we can truly, appreciate what is going on there, and it enables us to give the best advice to callers then. But also, sometimes in the control room, we can be quite isolated. We take a lot of the calls for the incident, but we don't always see what's happening. So to enable us to have that eyes on is great training for our staff as well.
It's a small piece of kit, but one that could make a big difference. Katia Fowler, ITV News.
Very clever. Rugby, and Wales head coach Steve Tandy has named his squad for the summer test matches against Fiji, Argentina and South Africa. 6 uncapped players have made the cut, and Jack Morgan returns after missing the Six Nations with that shoulder injury. Well, at Team HQ for us this evening is Matt Southcue. Matt, any surprises catch your eye then?
Well, John, there were a few surprises, but mainly there was just positive news, and some of that is that hooker Dewi Lake is expected to be fit for the summer matches. He's currently sidelined with a shoulder injury. As you mentioned, Jack Morgan is also back and raring to go. No news yet on who will captain the squad, but a major boost that those two will be part of that 48-man squad. And also there will be 6 uncapped players in Steve Tandy's side. Let's take a little closer look at those guys. Now, Rhys Barrett, the prop from Cardiff, is back in the squad. He's been in and around the camp before, but now he's named in the squad. Dragons duo Harrison Keddy and second row Ryan Woodman are also part of the side. Ryan Woodman was in during the Six Nations. Ben Warren from the Ospreys is in, and there's a lot of excitement around England-based duo. That's Bryn Bradley and Kane James. Now, Kane James from Exeter currently has played for England under-20s 19 times, but he's originally from West Wales, and Steve Tandy has convinced him to return to the land of his home. And that is what he spoke about earlier today at his press conference.
Oh, look, he's Welsh, and I think just having spoken to Kane when I arrived, went down to see him, and again, we've been in contact. He's awesome human being, very smart, very focused in what he wants to become. So yeah, we're very lucky to have Kane, and how motivated he is to play for us.
Well, Wales's summer tour is a bit of a beast. They will face the Barbarians at Twickenham on June the 27th. The following week it's Fiji at the Cardiff City Stadium, and then they will fly to Argentina, San Juan, to face Los Pumas in a summer game. Then it's over to Durban to face the reigning world champions. So, John, that's a lot of air miles and some pretty challenging matches in between.
OK, let's hope they can step up. Matt, thanks very much indeed. A reminder of our top story, and Plaid Cymru leader Rhys Iorwerth is on track to become Wales' next First Minister after Friday's landmark election result. Plaid Cymru won the most seats at 43, with Reform in second place on 34. But now 3 other Senedd parties have indicated they'd either back Mr Iorwerth's nomination or not oppose it, leaving the path clear for him to secure the top job. And still ahead on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up on the programme, can Sir Keir Starmer save his premiership? He promises to prove his doubters wrong, but some say it's too little, too late. Tottenham's Kevin Danso opens up about the racial abuse he recently received. He speaks exclusively to us. And Donald Campbell's Bluebird returns to Coniston Water for the first time since the 1967 crash. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, Ruth is here. It's felt more like winter today. What's happened to May?
It has, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It will come back, don't worry. But yes, sort of feels like we've stepped back a season and a step even further back in time now, as it's all aboard the Vale of Rheidol Railway in Aberystwyth. For over 120 years, these trains have been steaming passengers through some of our most spectacular countryside. But now, thoughts are turning to the future. And one of their engines has been upgraded from coal to something altogether more climate-friendly. Lewis Rhys-Jones has been to find out more.
Stoking the engine ready for another climb up to Devil's Bridge. Since 1902, the Vale of Rheidol Railway has mainly relied on coal-powered steam trains to run its excursions. But the need to be more climate resilient has led them to convert their Prince of Wales tank to oil to prevent line-side fires during dry summers.
People, I think, prefer coal-burning engines. It's more authentic. However, it's good to show that we are adapting as well. And the great thing with this engine is we can actually convert it back to coal in a week. So say now that, you get to the winter when there's no fire risk, we can convert it back to coal again, and it can be a coal burner in the winter and then back to oil again in the summer. So we've got that flexibility that people can come and see a coal-fired traditional steam engine, but also they won't come in the middle of a drought and, no trains running because of the fire risk. We can adapt.
It's incredible, really, the fact that these are so adaptable. You make it sound easy, but I can imagine there's still quite a lot behind it.
I say convert them back in a week like it's nothing. It's an awful lot of work, but we've got a great workshop here, fully equipped for pretty much anything we need.
And it's not the first time for this to happen. All 3 of the Rheidol tanks were oil-fired from the late 70s until 2012. But now there's a greater need for flexibility.
Last year we experienced some pretty persistent fires early in the season, which was a combination of the dry spring that we had and a conversion away from Welsh steam coal to Polish coal, which created more sparks. So it's not something we want to be doing, is setting fire to the valleys.
But now there's just a slight issue around cost.
So when we made this decision last year, the difference between oil and coal wasn't that much. It was about £125 a day for coal and about £150 a day for oil. So the decision wasn't so bad. However, world events have meant that it's now pushed up to £240 to up to £300 per day. So more than double at the moment. We're hoping that's going to calm down when world events calm down.
So it's certainly cheaper to run on coal. But this project has ensured the Vale of Rheidol Railway can run full steam ahead all year long, no matter the weather. Lewis Rhys-Jones, ITV News, Aberystwyth.
Wow.
Dual fuel, who knew?
Well, I won't complain about filling up my car after hearing what it costs to fill up the train.
That's a bit eye-watering, isn't it? Oh, blimey. Yeah, it'll be electric next you watch. So they're all future-proofing there. We mentioned earlier, didn't we, that it feels like we've stepped back in time, never mind the future. It has felt bitterly cold today, hasn't it? And as far as the next few days are concerned, it's very much going to feel the same. We're tapping into a cold airflow, northerly winds bringing this little blast. It will, however, be cloudy with some sunny spells. It will also be windy with some showers. There's something for everyone on this list, isn't there? Apart from the S word, but you'd have to go to Scotland to find that. Again, all very normal at this time of the year. Overnight frosts, though, those are a little bit of a shocker. All very normal, but frosts, yeah, just be careful if you have been out and about in your gardens. Watch your tender plants. And it's all, as I say, normal. It's what we call a wide diurnal range. It's a bit of a mouthful at this time of the evening, but we're looking at daytime highs of around 14 or 15, sub-zero temperatures by night. Average, normal, nothing out of the ordinary, but as I said, a bit of a shock to the system at the very least. Here are the details.
Today's forecast, blue skies, followed by a spread of hot and cold plates. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Generally all calm and quiet out there at the moment. A few showers still lingering down across the far southeast, but even here things will settle down. So as we head into the overnight stretch, clear skies across the board, and that, as I've been saying, means that the temperatures are going to plummet. You can see the map turning blue there. Frosty conditions, grass frost in more sheltered spots. So we are going to drop to around the freezing point. Last night, -2 in Sennybridge near Brecon. We could drop to that overnight tonight as well. Perhaps less cold out towards western areas, a little bit more in the way of a breeze here. But wherever you are, it is going to be not just a chilly but a beautiful start to tomorrow morning. Blue sky and sunshine. The cloud though will build during the course of the morning, and we've got a batch of showers that will sink their way southwards. They will rattle through quite quickly, so on the whole I think it should be a pretty decent day, with things looking a little bit more cheerful across northern and western areas in terms of sunshine. But again, the winds will be quite brisk, highs of 14 or 15, but if you knock a degree or two off these values, I think you get the picture. It's just all very disappointing is probably the best way of putting it, but we've still got moderate levels of UV, so despite the cloud and those showers, just be careful. As we head through Tuesday evening and into the overnight period, again, those showers will tend to fizzle out, but you can see there's an area of low pressure across the north of the UK, and that'll throw further showers down into northern areas as we wake then to Wednesday morning. And some of these showers could well be on the sharp side. The cloud will build as well, so a generally disappointing day for much of Wales on Wednesday. And you can see the showers will just keep on coming. The wind's brisk, the northerly air making it feel again cooler than we'd like, 13 or 14 at best. As we head through then into the rest of the week, it remains largely unsettled, I'm sorry to say, and it remains quite chilly as well.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Well, there is some positive news, but if you are suffering with hay fever at the moment, it's all quite comfortable. We're transitioning from tree to grass pollen with generally low levels over the next few days. So there you go, you've learned something. Your diurnal range.
Diurnal range.
That's all within the space of a day. Can go from like 15 to -2 at night. Quite normal though, but a good one for the pub quiz.
Every day's a school day here. That was Monday's Wales at 6. I'll be back, though, with the late update after news at 10. But from all of us on the programme, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.